Welcome into the weekend update here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes today as we get ready for another high school football Friday night. So be sure and get out to a game near you, or not so near. Go see some high school football tonight. You ain't got nothing else to do.
Yeah, go support the local scene. We'll get into it in the rundown. A lot of good games tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, you may want to watch Green Bay and Philadelphia, but come on. Sunday's for the pros. Friday's for the high schoolers. Go check them out. Great show coming up today. As Wade mentioned, we will be visiting in the second hour with Dave Hooker of Off the Hook Sports out of Knoxville, talking a little UT North Carolina State. Big game tomorrow evening, and, figure out where you can see it because it's an ABC broadcast, and, Direct and Disney are still feuding. I'm getting ready to probably get Fubo myself here in the next few hours once we get off the show. So, get that taken care of so you can settle in and watch 6:30 kick there. In our next segment, we will visit with Nashville Sounds reliever Jacob MISIOROWSKI as the Sounds finish up their next to last home series of the season. They continue against Gwinnett down at First Horizon Park this weekend. We'll also talk a little Braves, a little Astros. We will talk a little NFL. It got started with a bang last night. Continues tonight, obviously, and the Titans open Sunday on the road. So we are full-blown football at this point, from preps to pros. So Wade and I will finish up the show taking our shots at picking 10 winners against the spread again this weekend, and hopefully we can do better than we did last weekend, Wade.
Yeah, good thing it's for entertainment purposes only. And man, we didn't say this last week, but we should put a big old disclaimer that this is don't put your nest egg on Wade and Mo trying to predict Navy versus Bucknell. It probably is not the smartest financial decision.
No, that's probably not a good way to go at all. We are having fun. Now, we are competitive and we do like to win, but we are having fun. So if you are putting your hard-earned ducats up, you might want to get your advice elsewhere. But it'll be fun talking about it.
Yeah, we just needed 1 week to kind of set the stage, though. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to go 10-0, but I mean, I'm feeling pretty confident about this week.
I think, as we pointed out on the Southern Middle Tennessee High School football show, I think a lot of your improvement takes place from week 1 to week 2.
Oh, yeah.
So there we go. A lot to get to, a lot going on this show, and a lot ahead of us. So we should probably go ahead and get started with yesterday's results and this weekend's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Hey, before we hop into our rundown today, I want to remind you guys that our Friday rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates. The Blue Raider Voice also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. So make sure that you give Chip a call today at 615-542. That is 1915. Or you can visit his website at choosechip.net. Once again, that's Chip Walters, proud to support youth sports across Middle Tennessee.
Sorry about that, Wade. I know I kind of threw you off with some of the stuff that was going on the rundown there. But hey, high school football.
Trade secrets. Don't be giving them away.
Yeah, high school football, the one game from last night, Lawson goes across town to Stratford and deals the Spartans a 48-6 defeat on the new turf over at Stratford High School. Volleyball action, Providence Christian with a 3-0 win over Columbia Academy. It was Gallatin 3, Hendersonville 0, Mount Pleasant 3, Hampshire 0. Cookeville sweeps Laverne 3-0. It's Lebanon 3, White County 0. Loretto with a 3-0 win over Lewis County. In 5 games, Marshall County outlasts Zion Christian 3-2. Middle Tennessee Christian with a 3-0 win over University School of Nashville. It was Blackman 3, Riverdale nothing. Rockvale in 5 games downs Oakland 3-2. Waverly with a 3-0 win over Santa Fe. Cleveland comes up and downs Siegel 3-1. Spring Hill with a 3-0 win over Tullahoma. It was Stone Memorial 3, Watertown nothing. Stewart's Creek 3, Warren County nothing. Battleground Academy 3, the Lady Feet of Webb nothing. Wilson Central 3, Smyrna nothing.
As we move right along into girls soccer, scores from last night. Here we go. It's Blackman falling 5-1 to rival Siegel. Once again, Siegel putting up 5 goals in that rivalry victory last night. It was Bowling Green, Kentucky defeating Gallatin 4-1, your final there. Really good contest between Brentwood and Page. 3-2 was your final as the Bruins knock off Page in that showdown. Innsworth was a 1-0 winner over Brentwood Academy. Pope John Paul II and CPA are knotted at 0. Goalless draw in that one last night. Cannon County picks up a 3-0 win versus Middle Tennessee Christian. It was Clarksville Northwest, a 2-1 victor over Clarksville Northeast. Lincoln County wins a tight one, 2-1 versus Columbia Central. It was DCA, a 9-0 win versus Clarksville Academy. Davidson Academy picked up a 9-0 win versus Ezel Harding. East Hickman picks up the 5-1 victory versus Kenwood, and it was Franklin 7, Centennial 2 in last night's showdown. Franklin Road Academy defeating Columbia Academy 4-0. Harpeth on top of Hickman County 9-0. Ravenwood with a 3-3 draw versus rival Independence. That was a entertaining one, I'm assuming. 6 goals in that draw there. Lebanon was a 7-1 victor versus Laverne. Merrill Hyde versus Macon County. Merrill Hyde winning that one 5-0. Lawrence County, folks, a little bit of a renaissance in Lawrenceburg as the Lady Wildcats have won now 4 matches for the first time in a long time. They pick up an 8-1 win versus Marshall County last night in the district showdown. It was Fairview 5, Montgomery Central 1. Murfreesboro Central Magnet with a 5-0 win versus Warren County. It was Summit 3, Nolensville nothing. Grace Christian Franklin only put up 2 goals and surrendered 6 to Providence Christian, who defeats them. Oakland was a 4-0 victor versus Rockvale. Shelbyville defeats Spring Hill 4-3. John Overton 2-0 over STEM Academy. Stewart's Creek 5-0 versus Wilson Central. Cumberland County, as we wind things down here with the 3-2 win versus Watertown. Rossview 6-0 versus West Creek. It was White House 3-0 versus MLK. White House Heritage 3-0 versus Springfield. And capping our soccer scoreboard from last night, Zion Christian 3, Forest 2.
Major League Baseball from Thursday. As we mentioned during the show yesterday, the Reds and the Astros played an afternoon affair. Cincinnati with a 1-0 victory there. Braves looking for the sweep against Colorado, could not complete it. Fell to the Rockies 3-1. In minor league action, the Nashville Sounds fall to Gwinnett 9-2. WNBA play, it was the New York Liberty 77, the Seattle Storm 70, and the Washington Mystics with a 90-77 win over the Phoenix Mercury. In high school football action tonight, these are all 7 o'clock kicks. Cane Ridge, big neighborhood rivalry. They travel to Antioch. Nashville Christian, we talked to Battleground Academy coach Bobby Bentley yesterday about this one. NCS travels to Franklin, taking on the Wildcats. That's a 7 o'clock kick. Riverdale is at Beach. Brentwood hosting Hendersonville. Pope John Paul II is at Christ Presbyterian Academy. Cheatham County goes to Cannon County. Ooh, it's a heck of a drive. Independence is at Centennial. Brentwood Academy goes to Memphis, taking on Christian Brothers at 7. Kenwood is at Clarksville. Kirkwood is at Clarksville Northwest. Columbia Central hosting Hunters Lane. Friendship Christian is at Columbia Academy. And the Tennessee Heat is at Donaldson Christian Academy.
Football schedule rolling right along. Portland on the road tonight at Davidson Academy. Clarksville Northeast at Dixon County. Moore County traveling to Eagleville tonight. John Overton visiting East Nashville. Monterey will be at East Robertson. Tresvant traveling up to Innsworth tonight. Glencliff on the road at Ezel Harding. Stewart County will be at Fairview. Giles County is on the road tonight at Fayetteville. You can hear that one on Pulaski Citizen Live. Should be a good showdown between these 2 local squads. Page at Franklin tonight. Another good matchup on the docket there as those 2 teams getting it on. Evangelical Christian Alabama is on the road at Franklin Christian tonight. Middle Tennessee Christian is at Grace Christian Franklin. Summit traveling to Green Hill this evening. Loretto with a little bit of a trip up to Harpeth tonight. Perry County at Houston County. Republic at Howard this evening. Grace Baptist Chattanooga is at Innovation Academy. Good Pasture traveling to Jackson Christian. Whitwell is on the road at Joe Burns, and a big showdown in region play as Lincoln County hits the road tonight to take on Lawrence County.
Big 5-5A matchup right there. Also, Smith County is at Liberty Creek at 7. Briarcrest of Memphis comes to Lipscomb Academy. That's 0-2 Lipscomb Academy. 7 o'clock kick there. Montgomery Bell Academy travels to Memphis University School. White House is at Montgomery Central. Gallatin goes to Mount Juliet in an old school District 9 AAA matchup right there. McGavock goes to Nolensville. Haywood comes up to Oakland. Creekwood is at Pearl Cone. Mount Juliet Christian travels to Providence Christian. Ravenwood hosting Blackman. Siegel is at Smyrna. Maplewood comes to Spring Hill in a matchup of two 0-2 teams, and we'll have coverage of that one at mainstreetmurray.com. Henry County is at Springfield. Marshall County is at Station Camp. Stewart's Creek hosting Hillsboro. Hickman County goes to undefeated Summertown. 7 o'clock start. Another Region 5-2A matchup there. Clarksville Academy is at Sycamore. Rockville travels to Tullahoma. Warren County hosting Lebanon. Sequatchie County is at Watertown. Another Region 5-2A matchup. Mount Pleasant goes to Waverly. Tale of Two Tigers. Richland is at Wayne County. Franklin Road Academy travels to Webb School. Rossview is at West Creek. Westmoreland goes to White House Heritage. Whites Creek hosting Greenbrier. Laverne is at Wilson Central. And at 7:30, the Chattanooga Patriots are at Zion Christian.
Full slate of games tonight, folks. Again, make sure you get out and check one out in terms of high school football. But wait, there's more. We have volleyball on the docket. Check your local listings. Some of these, if not all these, going to be kind of tournament based. So buckle up. Eastside, Georgia taking on Eagleville. That match is set to begin at 4 p.m. Settle down there. Lawrence County versus Grace Christian Knoxville, also at 4 this afternoon. Mount Pleasant is at Culleoka tonight at 5:30. At 6 o'clock, it'll be Zion Christian traveling to Battle Creek. Washburn versus Eagleville at 6. Lebanon taking on Grace Christian Knoxville, Blackman is at Page tonight. Listed at 9 o'clock. Eagleville is set to take on, who's that? Boulet, if you will, for the French speakers out there. Bullet Bourbon in the house. Anybody? East out of Kentucky. Again, a 9 o'clock first serve. So check your local listings between those two squads. Lawrence County is going to play somebody this afternoon. I can't tell you who. I can't even tell you where. But if you're looking for Lawrence County volleyball, they are set to play at some point this evening and into the weekend. Girls soccer scores are scheduled for tonight at 4:30. Valor Collegiate is traveling to BGA. 5 p.m. Central Time. Franklin Classical is set to take on Giles County. That game's played in Gatlinburg as part of the Smoky Mountain Cup. Cheatham County is taking on Sevier County at 5 o'clock this evening. Kip Nashville at Merrill Hyde at 6 p.m. Lexington Catholic Kentucky versus Beach at 6:50. Dixon County versus Gibbs at 6:50 tonight. Station Camp versus Silverdale Academy also listed at 6:50. And 2 8:40 starts tonight. First of which is St. Agnes Academy versus University School of Nashville. And also at 8:40, Hume Fogg versus Arlington.
Saturday soccer action, 9 a.m. Columbia Central faces Chattanooga School for the Arts and Sciences. Also at 9, it's Cheatham County and Smyrna. At 11:30, McCracken County out of Kentucky plays at Harpeth Hall. At 12:40, Webb School plays Green Hill. Also, Holy Cross of Kentucky plays University School of Nashville. At 2:30, it's Beach and Silverdale. Also, Sacred Heart of Kentucky and Station Camp. Smyrna and Sevier County play at 4:20. Also at 4:20, it's East Carter of Kentucky and Cheatham County, Dixon County, and Daniel Boone at 4:20. At 6:10, Hume Fogg takes on Jefferson County. Also at 6:10, it's Franklin Classical and Knoxville Halls, and the Webb School and Columbia Central. 8 o'clock start for Giles County and Rockwood, and at 6:10, Green Hill takes on Seymour. A little college football action on Saturday. Cumberland travels to Union College in Kentucky. That's a 12 noon kickoff Lebanon time. You can hear it on WANT-FM. Tennessee State travels up to North Dakota State. That's the same North Dakota State that fell to Colorado a week ago last night. That's a 2:00 kickoff. You can see it on ESPN Plus, as long as you don't have DirecTV. Ditto for MTSU at Ole Miss. That's a 3:15 kick, and it's being broadcast on the SEC network. So check your local listings. Also on ESPN Plus at 6:00, Southern Illinois is at Austin Peay. That's the home debut for new Governors coach Jeff Ferris there. 6:30 on ABC, as we mentioned. Tennessee and North Carolina State will play in Charlotte. Again, that's a 6:30 kickoff on ABC, which means you may or may not be able to see it, depending on who your provider is. 6:30 on ESPN. Ditto. I'm sorry, on ESPNU. Alcorn State comes to First Bank Stadium, taking on the 1-0 Vanderbilt Commodores.
Let's close the weekend out, folks. Let's go to Major League Baseball. Today's action, the Blue Jays are at the Braves. First pitch comes your way at 6:20 p.m. That game can be seen on Bally Sports Southeast. At 7:10 tonight on the MLB Network, you can catch Game 1 of the Astros as they host the Diamondbacks. Astros and Diamondbacks will get us started early on Saturday. That first pitch comes your way at 3:10. That game also on MLB Network. Also on Bally Sports Southeast at 6:20 tomorrow night. The Braves and the Jays will get it on Sunday. Jays at Braves at 12:35. Getting tongue-tied down the stretch here on Bally Sports Southeast. 6:10 p.m. on ESPN. It'll be the Astros, again, closing it out versus the D-backs. Nashville Sounds tonight and tomorrow night, they go at 6:35 as they close up their series versus Gwinnett. They'll close the series totally at 2:05 on Sunday. Speaking of Sunday, we got a couple WNBA games to get to, but first, we got Friday and Saturday to tell you about. Tonight, it'll be the Aces at Connecticut, 6:30. All these games are listed as on ION. And also at 6:30 be Minnesota at Indianapolis. Dallas is at Atlanta tonight at 6:30. And at 8:30, it'll be the Sparks at the Chicago Sky. Once again, all those games listed on ION. Saturday, lone matchup will be Phoenix at Seattle. That should be a pretty good game, and it begins at 8 p.m. You can see it on NBA TV. Into Sunday, as I mentioned a moment ago now. 5 different ball games starting at 2 p.m. as Minnesota travels to Washington. Game can be seen on ESPN3. At 3 p.m., it'll be the Aces at the Liberty. Man, what a showdown on Sunday. That will be at 3 o'clock on ESPN. Also at 3 on ESPN3. Also at 3 on ESPN3. Yeah, that checks out, go. Right? Mm-hmm. Atlanta at Indianapolis. That should be a good showdown there. 2 teams duking it out in the East standings. Dallas at Chicago. That game is set to begin at 5 o'clock. And at 8 p.m., it'll be Connecticut at the LA Sparks to cap your Sunday WNBA scoreboard. Also on Sunday, a little game you might have heard about. It'll be the Tennessee Titans opening up their season at the Chicago Bears. Kickoff is set for noon, and you can see it on Fox. That concludes our weekend schedule. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's rundown.
Your top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available until 6 p.m., as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill in Columbia, bringing you our top story. Side note, according to @PhotogBert, on this day in 1916, the first self-service grocery store, Piggly Wiggly, opened in Memphis, Tennessee, revolutionizing the shopping experience. So there you go. Piggly Wiggly celebrating its 108th anniversary today. Congrats.
A little bonus shout out. Yeah, we love that.
There we go. Yeah, I don't think the Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia has been there for 108 years, but there you go.
We hope for another 108, perhaps, though, at least.
Absolutely. A little love for the big pig. Alex Morgan, 2-time World Cup winner as part of the U.S. women's national soccer team. A little controversy when she was not on the 2024 team that represented the United States in Paris earlier this summer, but has announced her retirement. The 35-year-old will play her final game Sunday with the San Diego Wave as they take on the North Carolina Courage. You can actually see that game at 7 o'clock Central Time on Paramount. So, again, Alex Morgan at the age of 35, stepping away. I have so much clarity about this decision, and I'm so happy to finally tell you it's been a long time coming, and the decision wasn't easy, but at the beginning of 2024, I felt in my heart and soul that this was the last season I would play soccer. Soccer has been a part of me for 30 years. It was the first thing I ever loved, and I gave everything to this sport, and what I got in return was more than I could have ever dreamed of. Again, she's had some injuries. The Wave is 12th in the NWSL. She did not make the 2024 Olympic team, but seems to be stepping away on her terms. So always good when legends can do that.
Yeah, and she is absolutely one of the greatest to ever do it in a U.S. Uniform. Man, I mean,
a U.S. kit, Wade.
U.S. kit, excuse me. Yes, the soccer snobs coming after me. 224 appearances and 123 goals. She's played with the U.S. since all the way back in 2011, and she was, along with Megan Rapinoe at the time, part of that new crop that the U.S. was kind of, I'm not going to say toiling in mediocrity, but man, they had kind of lost their way a little bit on the national stage until they start kind of making waves and putting the U.S. back on 2 World Cups, a couple of gold medals along the way. Unfortunate that she was left off in this year's, sequence of events. Cool that U.S. still won it. It would have been sweet to see her be a part of that, but it is what it is. She's a worthy champion and deserves all the props, and certainly wishing her the best.
Absolutely. Let's take a break from the Lee Company Studios here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we will be joined by Nashville Sounds reliever Jacob MISIOROWSKI. Stay tuned. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
He shoots, and he scores!
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you. No matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Weekend Update continues here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective abodes, and we are joined now by Nashville Sounds reliever Jacob MISIOROWSKI.
Hi,
Is that
how are
right,
you guys?
Jacob? I'm doing well.
You said it right.
I got it right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. There's a lot of vowels in there, man, so you got to be careful. Jacob, the second round pick of the Brewers in the 2022 draft out of Crowder Junior College over in Missouri. Midseason call up from AA Biloxi. Unfortunately, last night wasn't one of his best moments, but I mean, it happens. Third of an inning, 4 runs, 2 earned, as Gwinnett scored 5 in the 7th and got a 9-2 victory, as we spoke about during the rundown. But, Jacob, that was your 10th appearance with the Sounds? I mean, what do you take out of that relative to what's happened with you since you got to Nashville?
I think it's just another blip on the radar. You see it happens, Obviously it wasn't the outcome I wanted, but you just keep moving on and do your thing.
Got to have a short memory, right?
Exactly. That's baseball. That's basically any sport.
Yeah. 10 appearances for the Sounds, 2 starts. We've talked to some other guys over the course of this season that have kind of swung or do swing back and forth between starting and relieving. For a young guy in particular, again, just your third professional season, how do you adapt to that role, that kind of undefined role to some degree?
I mean, it's just another one of those things that their tests are putting you through, and you start preparing for whatever they're about to throw at you. If that's you throwing tomorrow, then let's do it. But, you just keep taking it one day at a time.
Do you know, or how far ahead do you know, or how far ahead did you know when you were making the 2 starts that you've made to this point?
They would tell you about a week to prepare, and so you were ready to go. But, now in the bullpen, it's pretty much every day you're out there. Okay, I could get in, you never know. So you're playing catch that day, and you're like, okay, let's be ready.
Jacob, I want to ask you, and first of all, thank you again for joining us. I'm reading, these are the words from brewerfanatic.com. These are not my words, but they kind of gassed you up, and they talk about you have some of the best raw stuff in the minor leagues with the wicked fastball, wipeout slider, developing curveball. They say, again, their words, not mine, that your control is lacking. I'm curious, how aware of that are you? Is that something that you even consider a possibility? And if so, kind of how do you approach what maybe at least that particular website perceives as kind of a hole in your game as you try and continue to advance?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's baseball. There's always something I can work on. But, yeah, no, command has definitely been something I've been pushing and striving for. But I think this year it's gotten a lot better. And I think – obviously not this last outing, but the outings before, you can see that I've gotten a lot more consistent in the zone and being able to pound it whenever I want to.
It's easy to say, this is maybe just my opinion, but I'm going to ask you the same question. I feel like I'd rather be known for having, all around raw badass stuff and I could deal with the control and work on that a little bit later. It doesn't hit the same if you're throwing 60 miles an hour, but you can dial it right where you need to go, in my opinion. I'm curious your take on that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm throwing a slider at, 92, and all of a sudden guys are jumping out of the way because I threw it at their hip and it's moving back in the zone. So I think it's one of those things that, like, if you have it, you're going to use it to your advantage. And if you're scaring guys in the box, that's a win for me, So obviously I want to be more consistent, but if it's playing the way it is, then I'm going to take it. And I'm going to
92 at my hip, I'd be pretty scared. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, exactly.
119 strikeouts, 59 walks in 93 and a third innings between Biloxi and Nashville. So, maybe the control isn't what Brewer fanatics are trying to make it out to be at this point. But at the AAA level, opponents are batting .091 against Jacob. So that's over 13 and 2/3 innings. Again, I guess at this point of your career, Jacob, everybody probably has, Wade's term, a hole or something that may not be on par with everything else, something that needs improving, like you said. But again, that's a 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio for the course of the season. So you'll take that, right?
100%. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I'll walk a guy or two a game and strike out 8. I'll be fine with that. I'm good.
And you can be effectively wild as well, and you can also throw too many strikes. So
exactly. Yeah. They don't know where it's going. I don't know where it's going. So we're both in the same ballpark. Like, they're the ones that have to hit it. So
we'll all see soon enough. Yeah. Again, the second round pick out of JUCO in 2022. I don't know if guys project timetables or anything like that, but what's it feel like to have had the amateur career that you had and to be sitting here in AAA, one step away from the show in your third professional season?
I mean, there's no words to describe it. It's awesome. It's an honor, but I feel like the job isn't done, and I feel like I have to, with everyone that's helped me along the way, show them why they helped me and why I deserve it. So I don't think it's over. I think there's still a lot to do, but no, it's awesome. It's awesome to have the organization believe me and believe in me and put me in the position to succeed.
Jacob, we're a little biased because we're in Nashville, but everything that we have seen and dealt with, seems like the Brewers, they are a top-notch organization, and it's one that feels like you want to be a part of. I'm curious, in Nashville specifically, how has that adjustment been for you? What have you picked up already in your brief time in Nashville as you kind of continue to move along and advance here?
Yeah, no, I mean, you had guys like Ashby, who's now in the show, and other guys like that have just been up and down that are there, and just nothing but support for everyone around them. And everyone knows their role, knows that we're all gunning for the same job, but it's still a team and we're all together in this, and you want the organization to win. So I think it's all just going for the same goal.
Mm-hmm. Jacob MISIOROWSKI, Nashville Sounds reliever, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Again, Jacob, drafted out of junior college. I'm kind of curious in that situation. Had you signed with a 4-year school? Were you planning on, going 4-year, or did you feel like you were going to get drafted out of Crowder?
I mean, like, I thought it was going to be an option for me to get drafted, but I definitely had I had a 4-year lined up. I was going to go to LSU. So it was there if I needed it, but I couldn't say no to the Brewers. So we're here.
Would you have been there with Skeens?
I would have. It would have been that year. So it would have been kind of cool.
To say the least, for the pitching staff, maybe not for the opposing hitters, I would imagine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Who else were you looking at other than LSU, or how quickly did you settle on LSU, I guess?
I mean, there was definitely discussions with my family and what was the right option for me. So I don't think it was a quick settling, but I had other schools. I had TCU and other big name schools like that with looking at me too. So I had options, but yeah, I think LSU would have been the best for me. But I'm happy where I'm at right now.
Oh, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. When things are going well for you, Jacob, what are you doing on the mound?
Having fun. I think that's the biggest thing is in esport. The people at the best of their game aren't stressed about what's going to happen next. They're just out there enjoying it and having a little bit of fun.
Coming out of the pen, do you ultimately see yourself in that ninth inning closer role, or what is it that you aspire to as far as that goes?
I mean, if that's the role they want me to take, then I'm going to be all for it. But I mean, in the long run, I'd love to be a starter still and go back into that role. But, if for right now they want me to be the ninth inning, eighth inning guy, like, I'll do it. Let's go. Give me the ball.
Hey, it's worth noting, since you mentioned the same article I'm reading here on BrewerFanatic.com, it does throw in a comparison, to the career of Josh Hader, formerly of the Brewers. So, I mean, if you're not going to be starting, that certainly seems like a decent comp, I would imagine, for you potentially to wiggle and to kind of fill those shoes at some point down the road, right?
Yeah, 100%. I'll follow in his footsteps. So, not going to say no to a long 10-year career,
Native of Blue Springs, Missouri, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is that outside of Kansas City, Jake?
It is. Yes.
Okay.
I'm from Grain Valley, so.
so do you grow up a Kansas City Royals fan in that situation, or were you a Cards or a Rockies fan? What were your allegiances prior to entering the pro ranks?
Kansas City boy, born and raised, and you were rooting for the Chiefs, and when they just had a defense, and now the Chiefs are doing what they're doing. So we had the Royals for when I was in high school, and so it was awesome to see that. But it's been a long road for Kansas City, but it looks like they're doing pretty well.
Well, did you get home in time to see the last of last night's game and kind of
how it ended?
Hope and hope that likely was out of bounds on that catch?
Yeah, I was right there. I was sitting on this couch watching it on my TV, and yep. So we made it. I think I was in the fourth quarter when I made it home from last night's game. So yeah, I got to see the end of it. So no.
6'7", 190. Obviously that gives you some leverage on the mound, but it's also a lot of moving parts. I mean, has that, they talk about being able to repeat your delivery and that kind of thing. How has that been tougher for you to come up with a delivery that's repeatable when you're all arms and legs at 6'7" like that? Or, how tough has that process been for you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think when I was a little kid, like, growing into my body, I had no idea where the ball was going, even less than I do now. But, it's just one of those things that, like, you're growing up and everyone's in the same boat. So I think it was just one of those things that you kind of just slowly figure it out. And, you throw enough innings and it starts piecing together.
Jacob, I'm curious. We've had a couple different pitchers from the Sounds on our program throughout the course of this season. How's your relationship with the guys? And are you sharing tips, knowing that you're kind of in some regards, in a weird way, sharing against some of your competition in that kind of proverbial race to get called up as soon as? How does that process play out for you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I want the best relationship I possibly can have with these guys. I mean, we're both going into the game trying to win a game. So, I mean, if I can give the guy next to me a little edge to beat a guy, then I'm gonna help out. I mean, with every possible step I can.
What's it like being a part of a team that also, in addition to knowing they're going to get you where you want to be personally, that you're also going to play for a competitive organization and have a chance to win ball games and be kind of in some competitive situations at the minor league level?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want. You want to be the one that's winning. You don't want to be the one that's losing every game like some teams, you know. So it's just one of those things that, like, if the guys around you are competitive and wanting to be there, then I want to be there. Let's go.
Jacob MISIOROWSKI, reliever for the Nashville Sounds, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Jacob, we appreciate your time. Now, let me ask you, you went a third of an inning last night. Are you up again tonight?
I'm not for sure.
Okay.
I might have thrown too many pitches, so might be tonight, might be tomorrow. You never know.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, I know you're itching to get back out there, and wish you the best of luck, man. We appreciate you spending some time with us.
Of course.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, when we continue here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia, we'll talk a little bit more baseball at the major league level. So stay tuned when we return to the Lee Company studios after this.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
Welcome to JHA Company, your trusted scholastic partner. We continue to serve schools with yearbooks, letter jackets, and graduation regalia. But now we offer so much more. Our school photography division offers high-quality images that capture the spirit and energy of your students and staff. Let us help build your identity, creating a cohesive look that represents your school's values and traditions. Our e-commerce solutions make it easy for schools to manage and sell their branded apparel online. Let's work together to make every school year unforgettable. Visit our website or contact us today to learn more. JHA Company, celebrating achievements, building identities, and creating memories.
Robertson County Chancery Court is hosting an in-person court auction Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Buy up to 9.46 acres of beautiful Robertson County land, selling in 2 tracts. Each tract includes water and approved soil areas. Located at 4637 Boyd Holland Road. Join us Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Sales subject to court approval. For more details, call 615-384-5650 today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. September 6, 1998, Andrew Jones' solo home run in the seventh inning of the visiting Braves' 4-0 win over the Mets was the 50th of his career, making him, at 21 years, 136 days of age, the third youngest Major League Baseball player to accomplish the feat. Only Mel Ott and Tony Conigliaro were younger when they hit their 50th round trippers. Jones hit one of the Braves' 4 homers, along with Ryan Klesko, Marty Malloy, and the Big Cat, Andres Galarraga. Meanwhile, John Smoltz struck out 12 in a 3-hit complete game effort. That was this day in Braves history.
That's a who's who all in one role right there.
When you get Andrew Jones, Ron Klesko, the Big Cat, and John Smoltz all in one TDIBH, that's a pretty good day. Could have used any of those guys last night as the Braves went into the third game of their series with visiting Colorado with a shot at a sweep after wins on both Tuesday night and Wednesday night. Couldn't close it out despite 11 strikeouts from Ronaldo Lopez. Braves offense mustered just 5 hits, I think just 1 in the final 7 innings, and fell 3-1. And that was a tough loss because Atlanta and the Mets are now tied for that third and final wild card spot coming out of the National League. And right now, they are tied in their season series, 5 wins apiece. They will play 3 games in Atlanta beginning on September 24th that, if this holds up, will decide who's going to the postseason and who's not. So, now, obviously, there's some business that has to be taken care of between now and then, but that series is looming pretty large all of a sudden.
Yeah, and isn't it crazy how baseball, it feels like this happens, right? There ends up being just organically a pivotal series between 2 teams that are right there, and who knows, like you said, how a couple of weeks will look like as far as in the standings at that point. But man, that could be a wild situation.
Yeah, who knows how the standings will look? Who knows how the roster will look? You'd like to think you're going to get Ozzie Albies back sometime between now and then at the very least. So we'll see how that one goes. But in the meantime, the Braves begin a 3-game series against visiting Toronto tonight at Truist Park. Max Fried getting the start in this 6:20 matchup, 8-8 with a 3.52 ERA for the Braves. The Blue Jays will counter with former Atlanta Brave Kevin Gausman. Gausman 12-10 with a 4.07 ERA. And man, it's wild because this is a guy who has been successful everywhere except the 1 year that he spent in Atlanta. Well, I guess 2 years. He was here in 18 and in 19, came over in a trade from Baltimore in 2018, was 5-3 with a 2.87 ERA, but in 19 he was positively putrid. 3-7 with a 6.19 ERA before he was moved on to Cincinnati. And again, dude has been solid everywhere except for that 19 season in Atlanta. So I'm sure that I don't know that he has pitched in Atlanta since he left. And I would imagine that'll be a storyline, and I would imagine that'll be a little bit of motivation for the former LSU pitcher coming back to Truist. So could get interesting tonight.
And again, these games, you certainly would have liked to cap the sweep off versus the Rockies
versus the Rockies. Yeah.
I mean, that's the kicker, right? Is you already had 2 games on them, and they're not a team that's playing for much at this point. So the games will get tougher. The opponents will get tougher. And just from Rockies, the Blue Jays are also in last place in their division, but I think everybody would universally agree they're a better team than the Rockies. So you kind of wanted to take advantage there, but yeah, every game is going to be crucial for these next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. As we mentioned during the rundown, as we mentioned during yesterday's show, Houston drops a 1-0 decision to Cincinnati in a day game yesterday. Cincinnati has won 9 straight against the Astros. Didn't realize that. That was the Reds' 5th shutout of the season. One of the worst marks in Major League Baseball in that category, but they got one yesterday. Despite Hunter Brown's best efforts, 4 hits over 6 innings, he goes out with a no decision. And J.P. France with a home run in the 7th. That was ultimately the only run. So Houston trying to regather themselves as Arizona comes to Minute Maid Park tonight.
Yeah, chance to bounce back. Been a weird week or so, because coming into the series where they swept the Royals, the Royals were absolutely flying, and Houston was, trending up, but you certainly didn't think a sweep was in the cards, and then they pull that off, and now all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, maybe we need to potentially recalibrate some things here. Our expectations may change, and then you go out and lay some duds, including a straight up goose egg yesterday versus the Reds. I mean, the A's is a welcome sight on the schedule, that is for sure, but they still got to go out and get it done tonight.
Absolutely. Framber Valdez going for the Astros, 13-6 with a 3.11 ERA. It's Brandon Pfaadt, 9-7 with a 4.32, taking the mound for Arizona in that one again, first of 3 there. So, and the Diamondbacks kind of on the fringe, are they?
Yeah, kind of. And the interesting thing is you're going to potentially get Kyle Tucker back, whether it's this series versus the D-backs or the A's coming up. I mean, you'll maybe get some reinforcements. Yeah, the D-backs are kind of interesting, right? I mean, when the Dodgers were kind of in that free fall a couple weeks ago, the Padres and the D-backs and the Giants at that time were kind of humming and really kind of moving along. And then everybody kind of has grounded to a halt a little bit. I'm not sure what to make of Arizona at this point, as they sit there. Decent record, though, 79-62, but they're still 5.5 back, obviously, in that NL West.
5.5 back in the NL West, in 3rd place, a half game behind the Padres. But in the wild card, both they and the Padres hold the 1 and 2 wild card spots, and they are 2.5 games up on both the Braves and the Mets. So, Wade, you could do the Braves a solid. Your Astros could do the Braves a solid by picking up a couple here this weekend. We'd be much appreciative. And
I'll send the word along. And yeah, if Tucker comes back, it's probably going to take a couple games, presumably for him to kind of get back in the real fold, the swing of things, as it were. And so if you can get him kind of back to where he was before, we mentioned it a couple days or weeks ago on this show, he was just absolutely single-handedly carrying the team. I mean, King Tuck, I mean, he was just literally willing them to wins at the start of the season when everybody else was playing so bad. So to get him back to even remotely close to that level would be awesome, and maybe an extra little shot for Houston right when they need it coming down the stretch here.
Matt Chapman was one of 4 Scott Boras clients who was forced to sign a 1-year deal late in the offseason, or early in the season, really, this past year. Signed with the Giants for 1 year for $18 million. Secured the bag with a 6-year, $151 million extension earlier this week. So that 1-year deal had a mutual option and then a player option for the next 2 years, but this will buy those out. He will get $25 a year through the 2030 season and a $1 million signing bonus. So obviously the Giants have been pleased with what he's done. Hitting 247 with 22 home runs, 69 runs driven in, 90 runs scored, and a 6.0 WAR, wins above replacement. In the midst of his best all-around season since finishing in the top 7 of the AL Most Valuable Player voting in back-to-back seasons with the A's in 18 and 19. So he's kind of enjoyed a renaissance in returning to the Bay Area, and the Giants have been the beneficiary. And so they rolled out the green carpet, I guess, for Matt Chapman, and they've got third base solidified there for the next little bit.
Yeah, and this kind of interesting, right? You know, the Boris was it the Boris 4?
Boris 4, yeah.
As he's done some good things, and so you always like to see. I like when folks kind of bet on themselves, and when you really kind of try and take things into your own hand. It doesn't always work out, and it can obviously work out in horrible fashion the other way. But this is kind of cool to see.
Yeah, the Giants actually signed 2 of those Boris clients. Obviously, Blake Snell was another one who threw a no-hitter earlier this year, and it's kind of thought that maybe they will try to extend him as well now that they've got Chapman taken care of. And the other 2 were Cody Bellinger, who signed with the Cubs, and Jordan Chapman, who signed with the D-backs, who you'll see this weekend. But 3 of the 4 have kind of hit. Bellinger has kind of been the belly that we saw at times in LA. Montgomery has struggled a bit and isn't likely to get an offer from the Diamondbacks, it doesn't feel like. But, you know, I guess Boris would tell you that 3 out of 4 ain't bad. So our number 1 of Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, winds down right here. We will return to the Lee Company studios for hour number 2, talk a little football when we come back from this break. Stay with us.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Hour number 2 of the weekend update here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, starts right now. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. And again, we got some National Football League activity last night that counted, which is more than we can say for Isaiah Likely's catch to end Kansas City's 27-20 win over the visiting Baltimore Ravens. Man, that was tough. It's a tough way to lose a ball game.
Tough way to lose a game. And, man, we as fans, we were robbed too because, I mean, Harbaugh already had the twos up in there. They were going for 2 and for the win. And, man, it was not as great or as cleanly as the play of a game, as we'll get into looking at you referees, as we would have liked. But, man, it still delivered. There was a little bit of a clunker there in maybe the second and third quarters, but the first and the fourth quarters more than delivered. And there's obviously no way that every game in the NFL will be as compelling as last night was. But for last night, for your opener, you got everything you wanted and then some.
You absolutely did. There's a video of this Isaiah Likely catch on CBS Sports, and it says Isaiah Likely comes within inches of forcing OT. No, he didn't come within inches of forcing OT. He came within about a half an inch of forcing OT. I don't know if Mark can find the picture of his toe on the back line, but that's all it was, literally. And Patrick Mahomes suggested that he wear white shoes going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that online because he was, man, it was so close. I mean, and then, you know, the comparisons, everybody was dragging Kevin Durant, you know, back in the mix from when he had that famous toe on the line when he was with the Nets and the Bucks in the playoffs. Gabby Williams catching strays, you know, from the Olympics. I mean, it was that close. And man, in real time, I thought he caught it. And it was crazy because the back of the foot came down correctly. It was just that toe. And man, I was looking at my screen about 10 different ways, trying to, you know, I'm, you know, checking all the corners and the angles, just hoping that there was
any
a way.
Green in between there.
Yeah. They looked like they were going to go for 2, but I was just begging. Yeah. I mean, just that close. I was hoping that was going to count, which is crazy. And, you know, the wild part is just a couple plays before that, Likely got absolutely blasted. Oh.
Yeah. I was surprised he was back in there.
He came back in. Yeah, exactly. I was flabbergasted.
Isn't it? I think Terry McCauley's going to have to make this call, but it looks like that toe's on the line,
it was clear.
I agree.
Despite Lamar Jackson's objections, that's pretty obvious right there that he was out. It's unfortunate because, again, like you said, John Harbaugh was going to go for it right there, get it over with one way or the other. And, you know, maybe we'd have seen Derrick Henry on that 2-point conversion.
Yeah, tough to tell. So Likely, we mentioned he played his tail off. He had a great game. Frustrating for Lamar in that sense because, man, just 2 plays prior to that too, he had Zay Jones wide open in the end zone and just flat out missed him. So that's one that, yeah, he was begging that the touchdown would have counted because he also undoubtedly felt like he let that one get away. The Ravens were not at their best in terms of offense until the last few drives in the fourth quarter in particular. Then they really started clicking. I think that plus all the penalties, this is a game as close as it was and as close as they maybe were to sneaking one out at the very end. I think they really, really are kind of kicking themselves today, thinking they maybe let the Chiefs get that win rather than them just fall into a better team last night.
Yeah. Meanwhile, again, we've got football in Brazil tonight, Eagles, Packers, and apparently Green Bay's headquarters in Brazil are expected to be 1.5 to 2 hours away from Corinthians Arena, the site of tonight's game. So not going to be the most convenient drive for the Packers to get ready for this game tonight, apparently. That's kind of bizarre to me that there was Philadelphia is considerably closer, apparently, as the home team. But it's kind of odd that you wouldn't have comparable hotels within less than an hour and a half of the stadium.
Yeah, and I'm not totally sure the real rationale. I'm sure there is some sort of reason, and hopefully it's a good one, because, yeah, that does seem a bit odd. Brazil's an interesting nation, to say the least, for a variety of reasons. And so by all accounts, everything that you kind of read leading up to this, yeah, it's going to be played on Friday night. And yeah, a lot of folks will tune in. We talked yesterday about the schedule clash with the Brazilian national soccer team. We've talked previously about the informal ban on the color green because of the rivals and the stadium issue there at Corinthians Stadium. So everything about this, yeah, there's a cool element to it, but man, it just also feels a bit odd. And the players have spoke openly about their hotel situation and just not, I think everybody's just ready for it to be over and ready to get back on a normal schedule. These two teams, at least.
I think that's a great read. I think a lot of folks are ready for it to be over, and I'm pretty sure that when the next game goes to Brazil, that neither Philadelphia nor Green Bay will be holding up their hands to, pick us. Yeah. So,
yeah, I can't imagine.
That game is on Peacock only tonight, by the way. So if you don't have it, you've still got time to get that hooked up. That's a 7:00 kick too, right?
Yeah, 7:15 maybe officially, but somewhere around there. No lightning delay, hopefully, for this game like last night, but it should be good.
Yeah. We are always happy at Main Street Sports Today when someone secures the bag. As we mentioned, Matt Chapman with the San Francisco Giants did earlier this week. Former Brentwood Academy standout Jalen Ramsey has done so as well. Was granted an extension by the Miami Dolphins earlier today, 3 years, $72.3 million, which puts him back ahead of Patrick Surtain Jr. as the highest paid defensive back in the National Football League. So
yeah, sorry about your luck, Patrick. That was short-lived.
Yeah, well, it's fun while it lasted, though. But the money doesn't change, though. It's just the status, and I hope he's not too worried about that. But Ramsey,
yeah.
Ramsey was
he's worthy of it for sure.
Oh, without question. Yeah, I mean, he only played 10 games with Miami last year, but clearly showed enough to prove worthy of this. Previously signed a 5-year, $100 million extension with the Rams. Signed a 3-year, $55 million with the Dolphins once he got there back in 2022. So, 7-time Pro Bowler, Jalen Ramsey. And I'll tell you, it really kind of feels like yesterday when I was watching him and Corn Elder go up against each other in those Brentwood Academy Ensworth games. I'm old. Them not so much, but I definitely am. But yeah, congrats to Jalen. That's big. And Miami obviously expected to make some noise in this AFC East this year. And, I hadn't heard anything about, Ramsey being upset about his rate of pay. But anytime they throw that money at you, it's got to make you a little bit happier, I would think. So,
yeah, gesture of good faith for them and between those two parties. Like you said, coming off a little bit of an injury-plagued season, and he's He's still questionable, it sounds like, for if he's going to start potentially Sunday when they take on the Jaguars. So,
I think
at least now
he's
he's
going to
got
play
the
against
cash
the
and can sit
Jaguars.
back. Maybe. Maybe hold out and just get ready for week 2, perhaps.
I think you're going to have a tough time keeping him off the field against his former team.
You would think, but yeah, McDaniel's got some, McDaniel type quotes, so we'll see. Maybe that is just a little bit of gamesmanship and posturing, but yeah, he's technically still quote uncertain for Sunday.
Also uncertain for Sunday as the Titans go to Chicago is receiver DeAndre Hopkins, who apparently received the injury designation heading into that matchup, following his preseason health woes. Will he play? Won't he play? Hard to say. Teresa Walker of the Associated Press has filed a story saying that he felt fine as of yesterday. So expected to play, but I guess did receive an injury designation for the Bears game. So will be something to watch, I guess, right up until they announce active rosters on Sunday for that one.
Yeah, I would not be shocked if he doesn't go, only because I think what happened is initially when the injury went down, I was kind of anticipating he probably would have missed at least 1, maybe even 2 games to start the year. But then we started seeing him back at practice, and we do what we always do. We started looking at the clips, and we're saying, ooh, man, it's so good to see him back out there. Be real nice if he just came right on back, and he's making great progress. So you kind of try and don't fall into that trap because you'd much rather have him sit out a week, maybe even 2 if you need to, and be healthy the rest of the season than potentially run and risk further injury by rushing him back out there week 1. So that'll be a big storyline heading into kickoff.
Yeah, I mean, you want to err on the side of caution, particularly with a veteran, particularly with somebody who plays as much of a role or as much of a perceived role as you perceive him to play in this offense. So
official depth injury report is out for the Titans. Jamal Adams and Otis Reese both listed as out. And DeAndre Hopkins and Chidobe Awuzie, the new cornerback, they got both listed officially as questionable.
So, again, tune in Sunday morning. We'll see how that one goes. Shifting gears, did you see – we talked a couple of weeks ago about former Michigan staffer Connor Stallions joining the staff at Mumford High School in Detroit. Well, make that Mumford head coach Connor Stallions, because apparently the coach that hired him suffered a stroke recently, and Stallions has been elevated. William McMichael suffered a mild stroke, went into the hospital last Friday following Thursday's season opening loss to Thurston of Michigan, and was hospitalized for 3 days. Stallions had been acting as volunteer defensive coordinator, but has led the team this past week. Now, Mumford 4-24 since the start of the 2022 season. So looking for a jolt. And Stallions will be serving as head coach tonight when Mumford takes on Hamady High School on the road.
Man, so obviously you hope your current head coach is okay, but is this not even more scripted? This is the Hollywood script all over again. Now he's the head coach. He was the volunteer defensive coordinator. Now suddenly the guy who was, so in such of the spotlight last year nationally, he's now the head coach. It just feels like this how this story was destined to play out. Health scare aside, obviously, like we mentioned, for our head coach, hopefully.
I mean, that's not the way, obviously, that you want to get a role, but sometimes things happen and you're just thrust into situations. So we will see how this goes. USC didn't take long to recognize its latest Heisman Trophy winner. Apparently, they are retiring number 13, previously worn by Chicago Bears starter Caleb Williams, and will do so this weekend, it sounds like.
Man, I was just getting ready to say I don't like this, but the fact that you got the Heisman and they pretty much have done it for every other Heisman winner, I'm a little all right. It's kind of a textbook, right? Because otherwise, yeah, man, talk about wasting no time. Come on now, he's not even gonna be able to be there.
The article that I'm looking at is not clear as to when the actual ceremony will take place, but they are retiring the number.
Okay, that makes a little more sense. Because if he can't be there, I mean, that seems a little silly just to go ahead and just do it.
Yeah.
Just because it's potentially the first home game, but USC's been known to do some weird things over the years too.
The 7th Heisman winner to have their number retired by Southern Cal. Carson Palmer's number 3, Matt Leinert's number 11, Charles White's 12, Mike Garrett's 20, O.J. Simpson's 32, and Marcus Allen's 33. Conspicuous in his absence is Reggie Bush in his number 5. But there is a picture that USC distributed via social media channels that also includes said number 5 amongst the retired numbers. Bush's Heisman was given back to him in April in light of NIL developments. So Caleb may actually be the 8th former Trojan to have their number retired, but that has been announced that they are doing that. They will do that at some point. So,
hey, now that's a little bit of a master class. I'm looking at the picture of the 5 and the 13. That's a nice little bit of PR there from USC. Hey, we have 2 Heisman winners that were retiring. Never mind the fact that this all should have been taken care of a long time ago. But you slide that in there and puff your chest a little bit, and make it look like you're doing an extra kindness there.
Oh yeah. By the way, we're also hooking Reggie up.
Beautifully done from USC. Yeah, you get two for the price of one potentially.
Insult to injury, or injury to insult for Louisiana State. In addition to that loss to USC last week, John Emery, who carried 10 times for 61 yards in that loss, suffered a torn ACL in Tuesday's practice and is out for the rest of the year. Man, running back is an endangered species in college football. I mean, what? Texas lost 2, Texas A&M lost 2 during the preseason, and now LSU loses Emery. That 61 yards on 10 carries was a team high, by the way, against USC. After he tore his right ACL against Florida last November. So it does not specify which ACL he injured this week. I don't know that it matters necessarily, but I mean, if you tore the right one for a second time, that's tough. If you tore the left one, that's a different kind of tough, and that's awful. You hate to hear that.
Yeah, LSU, they're going to be an interesting team to watch for the next couple of weeks, because I think they're one of those teams, I think just tradition alone, a lot of folks were curious to see. I think they were going to be okay, but man, for every couple good years, they are due for a clunker every now and again. And sometimes when the wheels start wobbling with that program, it just really goes off the rails. And so they're a team that I'm kind of fixated on the rest of the year because it doesn't feel like they're going to be trending toward that elite level like we're used to. It feels like we're going to be trending toward that weird kind of wobbly season from them.
And that's tough. But, here's the thing, though. I mean, in a 16-team league, somebody's got to be that team.
Yeah, and I mean, and they'll be better than South Carolina, Kentucky, perhaps a few other squads. But yeah, this pecking order. I mean, they're at 18th right now. They got Nicholls State to maybe figure things out tomorrow. I mentioned South Carolina. Maybe I spoke too soon because they go to them next weekend for 11 a.m. kickoff, and LSU needs to kind of find itself. And yeah, this injury news, I'm not sure how much they were really, really banking on this guy. That's the one of the big games I didn't get to watch any of last week.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to recalibrate because I think everybody had some potential question marks about your quarterback play last week. And a quarterback's best friend is tight end and running back. And if you're losing your running back, that could be real dangerous going forward.
No doubt. Tennessee State traveling north, taking on North Dakota State at 2:30 tomorrow. The Tigers coming off of that big 41-21 win in the John Merritt Classic over Mississippi Valley. North Dakota State fell last Thursday night out at Colorado, so the Bison will be locked and loaded in Fargo tomorrow night, and this will certainly be a challenge for Eddie George's bunch, so keep an eye on that one as well. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we will be joined by the Dave Hooker of Off the Hook Sports, talking a little UT football. Stay tuned after this.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
It's the weekend update here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. And joining us now from Off the Hook Sports out of Knoxville, it is Dave Hooker. Figured we'd try to pick his brain a little bit on this ball game tomorrow night against North Carolina State over at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. Dave, good afternoon.
Well, if you're going to pick my brain, then that's probably the extent of the segment. That'll probably do it. So I guess I'll talk to you guys next time.
Listen
Don't go
to
anywhere.
you. Listen to you. Hey, obviously Tennessee, Chattanooga, North Carolina State, apples and lug nuts. But I mean, what did you see Saturday that makes you feel particularly good about UT going into this matchup?
I guess the poise and the maturity to take care of business is about the only thing you can pull from that. And Maurice, you and I've been around both types of programs. There's a different level of athlete, and I've got a ton of respect for Rusty Wright and Chattanooga, and I think they're going to win there. I think they're going to do really well in the Southern Conference. But I think ultimately you want Tennessee to show up, not make mistakes, do the opposite of what NC State did last week versus Western Carolina, which is kind of sleepwalk through the first half. So I believe that Tennessee's been getting ready for NC State before they played Chattanooga. I believe NC State was getting ready for Tennessee before they played Western Carolina. Right. But one team played like that and the other team didn't, and I think that speaks to Tennessee's maturity.
Dave, that's what really impressed me about Tennessee last week is we predicted against the spread, and Tennessee had a big number to cover, and not only did they cover, they absolutely flattened Chattanooga. And to me, that's always the sign of what you just said, maturity, but it's also a testament to the depth of your program. And I guess I'm curious, what did you take away from, some of those backups and some of those other players that will be called upon later in the season? Because we only saw a handful of snaps for some of your key starters last week.
Now, I was very blown away by the depth, the fact that they could bring an entire new group of defensive tackles in 3 times over. I've been around a lot of defensive line coaches that say you want to go too deep, but you really rarely ever do. This one, a defensive tackle at Tennessee, I believe, can go 3 deep, actually. And as far as the ends, I think they're strong 2 deep. And Tyree West had a great game. And then James Pierce, who could go number 1 in next year's NFL draft, he was barely used, about 10 plays, dropped into coverage. And, we'll see how this plan works out. But this team has talked openly about going undefeated, winning a national championship. And they're planning on taking it easy on these guys when they can so that they're fresh later in the season. And I think part of that was because they did get hit by the injury bug last year. But we'll see how that plays out. But I don't think they've been as tough on these guys as you traditionally would because of the longer season.
Dave, I'm also curious to the kind of neutral, just good old football fan, if you will, and me. This one is exciting in the sense of we know what Nico at the quarterback position could become, maybe even potentially already is for Tennessee. But on the other hand, North Carolina State's got a really impressive quarterback in their own right in Grayson McCall, who's a 3-time Sun Belt Player of the Year at Coastal. Speak to the quarterback play in this matchup in the sense of the future potentially versus the present in McCall.
With Grayson, I like what he does with his ability, his God-given ability. I think he maximizes that. I wasn't crazy about his first interception when his only interception in the Western Carolina game when it was almost like he didn't recognize coverage. That to me was weird for a guy that's thrown for over 10,000 yards. But for the most part, I think he has a good sense of when to run. I think he's probably a little bit better with his legs than his arm. His arm's not the strongest in the world. On the flip side, I think you have Nico Iamaleava that has an incredibly strong arm and incredibly quick release. Does not want to live by running the football because he's big and slim. And at 6'6", there's a lot of guy to hit. And, he may grow another inch. So, and he's a legit 6'6". I hear a lot of people say that guys are 6'3" or 6'4". Oh, they're 6'5". No, he's legit that big. I don't think his goal is to run around there and get hit, but I also think he has a good sense of when to leave the pocket and pick up an easy 5 yards. So, yeah, I thought this last year, and I remember we talked about the potential for benching Joe Milton, and I 110% have heard only incredible things about Nico, and I say that given that with every other coach and every other player that's been talked about great, I haven't been this strong in my praise, yet I didn't share secrets and some behind-the-scenes things. Guys, Nico's passing all the tests and has continued to from the moment he showed up on campus in December 2022 for the Orange Bowl preparation. So it's weird to say I'm not surprised in his first start at Neyland, but he was 22 at 26, I believe. But I really wasn't surprised at all. And I think he was probably ready to go middle of the season last year. A wrist injury slowed him for a bit early in the year, but I think he's going to be Tennessee's best quarterback since Peyton Manning.
Wow. Okay. That's those are pretty glowing remarks there regarding the quarterback from Dave Hooker of offthehooksports.com.
It's not the most stellar group.
It kind of makes you think, okay, and you start rolling them through, and
I was a big Tyler Bray guy for a while there, though. So I mean,
Tyler Bray,
thought he was really going to do some big things.
Yeah, Tyler Bray, incredible talent. If he had Nico's attitude, he might be a Pro Bowler. Casey Clausen, I think, just ice water. I think was an incredible player, but I don't think he was to that level. Eric Ainge, same thing, very good player. I don't think to Nico's level. I could be proven wrong. He could plateau. This is me projecting. But I just think he is, and I think he's in the perfect fit. Those other guys that I mentioned also had issues with coaching. Tyler, I mean, he may have had a totally different attitude. Eric Ainge may have had a different career if not for the coaching they had.
Recency bias, Dave. Where does Hendon Hooker fit into that?
I shouldn't. That's silly to leave him out. Okay, so I think ultimately Nico, so let's say Hendon Hooker is the best since Peyton Manning, which statistically he is. So it's not recency bias to say he's the best since Peyton Manning. And if Nico is as good as Hendon Hooker, but no better, then nobody should be able to complain. Because Hendon Hooker, I believe, was the second highest rated quarterback in the nation. And you have the stats in front of you. There's something crazy as interception to touchdown ratio was like 1 to 10. Mm-hmm. So maybe 1 to 15. So if he reaches that, then I think that Tennessee fans should be happy. Expectations are so high now that they believe he will be better than Hendon Hooker. But no. I should not have left him off. I would have to argue that he's the best since Peyton Manning. So yeah, that was a massive oversight by me. Pardon me.
All good. We're a team here for the next 15 minutes. So yeah, that's but defensively, what are your thoughts regarding this Tennessee team? And I mean, I don't know how much they were tested again this past weekend.
True. Again, I've mentioned their linemen. I think they're very good there. I think at the linebacker position, they have a guy named Keenan Pilley, who I think is Maurice about as old as me. He's been in college football since 2018. He did the 2-year Mormon mission. He was hurt last year. He got his 7th year. So I'm told he's a standout player, but he tore his tricep in the season opener last year and missed the entire season. So I'm told he's really good, and that's why Tennessee struggled in their second level last year of getting his guys lined up. I believe Arian Carter at outside linebacker will be a great playmaker for Tennessee. Now, the secondary, I have to go pardon me. I have to go off what the coaches have said and the fact that they let so many guys leave without trying to keep them via NIL money. And that is that there's an upgrade at talent, but there's not an upgrade in experience. And the secondary has been bad for a couple of years. So that would be the leap of faith I think you're taking with this team to say that they can play at an SEC or national championship level or contend, is that the secondary is going to be as good as the coaches said. That to me is your one position, your leap of faith that could undermine everything.
Dave Hooker of Off the Hook Sports joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Dave, what is the significance of this game should UT win it, and what is the significance if it goes the other way?
You know, it's funny. I was thinking about that. Do you remember the Pitt game 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's funny. You know, Tennessee beat Alabama that year, beat Florida that year. And I asked guys on that team, what was the game that brought you closest together? And they talk about that Pitt game. That's a non-conference game. But it was a tough team. It was also a team that liked to use smaller defensive linemen. All of that is applicable to NC State. Tennessee has the quick offensive linemen that can get leverage against the bigger SEC defensive linemen. That's the goal. So sometimes it's a bit of a struggle when they play guys that have quick feet just like they do. So I think there's a lot of similarities. To answer your question, if they lose, or even if it's close, there will be questions galore about this football team. Now, part of that's Josh Heupel's fault. You can blame some of that on us in the media, but he has said that this is the deepest roster he's had since he's been at Tennessee. He tried to backtrack that a little bit the week before the Chattanooga game, but still, he is.
Frozen.
Yeah. Wonder if he hit a bad spot. He was driving. Hope to get Dave Hooker of Off the Hook Sports back to continue our conversation regarding tomorrow night 6:30 p.m. kickoff over in Charlotte as Tennessee takes on North Carolina State. Again, that game is set to be televised on ABC. So if you are a Direct TV customer, you should make alternate plans because it doesn't look like it's going to be available to you. But it's an intriguing game, you know, in this world of conference games and you know bunnies, for lack of a better phrase. I mean, gimmies, cupcakes. To see a matchup like this is kind of interesting to see, and it's one of a handful on the schedule. I mean, I know we've got Texas and Michigan tomorrow night as well, or tomorrow as well. But you know, these cross conference matchups like this are, you know, relatively few and far between. So I'm kind of intrigued by this one.
Yeah, this one will be fun. This is kind of, you know, this isn't an all-star, super hyped up, you know, kickoff classic type game. And I think that's mainly on NC State's end of the spectrum. It's no disrespect to them and the Wolfpack, but they don't quite just get the juices going, you know, as if this was Tennessee and Clemson or, you know, Tennessee and FSU to get us cranked up. But yeah, to your point, this is going to be a very fun game. And I was just getting ready to ask Dave, man, I just don't know. I don't see really any realistic way short of Tennessee just flat out imploding that NC State has a real path to victory in this game.
Sorry about that, guys. I lost you for a second. It was. I think the path to victory would be that Tennessee would have to make an awful lot of mistakes.
That's the only way I can see it, Dave, right?
Yeah, I think so. Unless that, I would give that defensive front for NC State an opportunity to surprise Tennessee and throw Nico off a little bit. But for the most part, I'm completely with you. I think this is Tennessee's game to lose.
And Mo was just mentioning, Dave, kind of as best you can recall off the top of your head, we were just discussing kind of how this is a relatively high-profile non-conference game, and Mo had mentioned that, and I was curious, how many years ago was this one announced, and is this a Charlotte location that Tennessee is eyeing for future games? Have you heard anything about that?
I don't know. I don't recall exactly when it was set up. I know part of the goal was to improve Tennessee's recruiting in that area. And they've just picked up Chris Sanders, offensive tackle, number one player in the nation by some services, number one offensive tackle by all of them, out of the Charlotte area. Obviously, Pierce is from Charlotte. They've got a young man named David Hobbs, who I think is going to be really good out of the Charlotte area as well. I'm suddenly forgetting someone. So I think the goal was for recruiting, but at the end of the day, it's going to be all about the numbers if they continue to do things like this, because Danny White wants to make money, and he wants to make money to build the entertainment district at Neyland, the Neyland Entertainment District, the NED as they should call it. But that in order for that to happen, he's got to make the most money he can. So I think if Charlotte comes in, the Duke's Mayo Classic folks, and they say, I give you $1 million more to do the game here than have one in Neyland, I think he'll do it. But other than that, I think these games are going to be held at Neyland more often.
According to Google, Raleigh is about a 2-hour and 55-minute drive to Charlotte. From Knoxville to Charlotte is 3:42. But I don't feel like this is a home game for the Wolfpack.
I don't either. Tennessee fans often make this trip. It's worth noting in my younger days, you could stop in Asheville, exactly halfway, and they might have had a lot of microbreweries there. But anyway, so yeah, the drive there is a very scenic drive. It's nicer than the drive to Atlanta or Nashville. It's a beautiful over the mountain drive. So yeah, you'll have a lot of Tennessee fans there. If they went to Pittsburgh 2 years ago, they'll go to Charlotte.
Yeah. Dave Hooker from Off the Hook Sports joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Dave, you got a number? You got a prediction?
Well, I put my prediction out on Thursday for my Saturday game. If it were up to me, I'd wait till like Saturday morning. I like to get all the information I can, but I stick by my prediction, which was 56-17. I've looked at NC State's defensive line a little more, so like if I could hedge that and get it in the low 40s, I probably would. But I'll stick with what I put out there in print. Even though we can change things digitally, Maurice, as you know.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of it.
I'm 100%, baby.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with 56-17. My original pick, I predict Squirrel White will be the receiving star of the game. I think James Pierce will have a couple of sacks or at least 2 tackles for loss. So those are kind of my predictions. And if I may say so, I thought Ethan Davis and Jordan Ross would play really well last week, and they both made big plays. So I'm on a roll, and I'm usually horrible at predicting these things. So, after 25 years, it's time, Maurice, and I'm going to see if I can ride this one.
There you go. Ride it, man. Hey, we appreciate you taking some time with us, and we look forward to catching up with you later on.
Hey, anytime, guys.
All right.
Thank you, Dave.
I feel like 56-17 might be a little bold, but that's what's that? 39 points. Oof. Yeah. We will see. Is that one of our picks, Wade?
That'll be on the docket.
Well, there we go. We will be picking the winner of UT North Carolina State and 9 other games from the weekend when we come back to the Lee Company Studios right here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Stay with us for the final segment. We'll see you.
Robertson County Chancery Court is hosting an in-person court auction Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Buy up to 9.46 acres of beautiful Robertson County land, selling in 2 tracts. Each tract includes water and approved soil areas. Located at 4637 Boyd Holland Road. Join us Saturday, September 7th at 10 a.m. Sales subject to court approval. For more details, call 615-384-5650 today.
He shoots, and he scores!
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
Back with you guys here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Wade Neely here. Mo Patton set to join us in just a matter of moments. Time now for the final segment where we go to the gridiron, back to the gridiron. And Mo's back with us here. Mo, we didn't do the greatest last week in our prognostications, but we're back. You always get a reprieve, and we're back and ready for more here in week 2.
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to keep doing it till we get it right, and again, as we've said, your biggest improvement is set to take place from week 1 to week 2. So
biggest misses from us last week undoubtedly were Virginia Tech. That one stings. Not only did they not cover, they did not win outright even.
There's times when you don't mind being wrong, though, and that would probably be one of those. I'm really happy for Vanderbilt and for that Commodore fan base. That's a huge win for Clark Lee and for them. So, yeah, didn't too much mind that one.
Other than that, LSU was the big letdown for both of us combined. So we're pretty much neck and neck. We go into week 2.
We hit Boston College, though.
Boston College, man, I wish I would have gone to Vegas on that, because just everything about Florida State reeling. I didn't know this, by the way, until I was talking with a friend who's a Florida State's offensive coordinator has been suspended for the first 3 games.
Ooh.
And so he has been with the team, but he's not allowed to be on site on game day.
On Saturday.
So they haven't had their OC for the first 3 games. Would be interesting to see what happens when he come back, I suppose.
Yeah, because he's out again this weekend then, I guess.
Yep. So let's go to the games. We'll kick things off. These will go in chronological order. And we start at 11 a.m. Big matchup, another crossover, just like Tennessee and NC State. But this time it's the SEC and the Big 12. Arkansas travels to number 16, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is a 10-point favorite. These odds provided by Caesar Sportsbook, and the game can be seen on ABC. That is our first game.
10 for Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has typically not been very good to me. 10 kind of feels like a big number, but I'm just not sure that Arkansas can score enough to stay within that. So I'm going to go with the Cowpokes here.
Yep. I want to get excited about Arkansas. Bobby Petrino, I'm going to be keeping my eyes on them, but I feel like they're not there just yet. And Oklahoma State is a pretty good team. So as much as I want to pick the Razorbacks, I'm with you. Give me OK State to get us cranked up here. Staying in the Big 12 of sorts, number 17, Kansas State. This is a rematch from a couple of years ago as Kansas State was stunned by Tulane in 2022. But now maybe K-State has the last laugh. They are 17th in the country. They are a 9-point favorite down at Tulane. Game will be seen on ESPN Saturday morning.
Yeah, I don't think this Tulane team has enough to stay with K-State, even at home. I'm going to ride with the Wildcats in this one.
You know, I want to pick Kansas State. That's the smart thing. I was looking at our friends at Go Vols 24/7. They're all over Kansas State as well. I can't do it. I'm just visualizing maybe Kansas State players will just go out on Bourbon Street the night before. You know, I love that just good old boys will be boys and kids will be kids. Give me K-State on the road, having a hangover at 11 a.m. and Tulane. Maybe they don't win the game, but at least they cover the 9 points, I think.
You know, stranger things have happened than folks getting out on Bourbon Street the night before a ball game. So
I mean, yeah. So I mean, that's Kansas State. I mean, think about it. It's not like we're talking about UNLV coming down to Tulane where they got their fill. I mean, we're talking about coming from Manhattan, Kansas. I mean, yeah. I mean, you're going to want to see the sights and sounds. So we'll revisit that one. That's 11 a.m. kickoff on ESPN. 11 a.m. on ESPNU. This could be an interesting game for a variety of reasons, but Troy is at Memphis, and the Tigers are favored by 18.5.
That number disturbs me. That's a big number. Oof. I mean, you're basically talking about 3 touchdowns. I don't know. I'm going to go with Memphis, but not very comfortably.
I'm with you. That is a massive number. And that's one of those where when you go to place it at the sports book, you just kind of do this. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to look through my eyes. I'm not really going to try and watch much of the game in regards to this rooting interest. But I'm going to take Troy just because it is such a big number.
It's a huge number. Yeah.
This is, I mean, Memphis could be up 20-something points and then give up a late touchdown. The backdoor covers in play.
A late field goal.
Late field goal. I mean, anything could happen. And I think Memphis is a really good team. And I mentioned we'll talk about them later because MTSU will go to Memphis in a couple of weeks, which should be a fun game. So give me Troy for now on the road as we keep things moving along here. Big noon kickoff on Fox. Michigan is a 7-point underdog as number 3 Texas comes to town. Your thoughts?
You know, if Texas is what everybody says they are, then they cover this. We've been hearing for 5 years Texas is back. I mean, this is as close an opportunity for them to maybe kind of stamp that as anything. And I'm still not necessarily a Quinn Ewers believer, but I'm not sure how good this Michigan team is either. So, I mean, a touchdown may be about right. I'm going to go with Texas. I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually a push at 7.
Just getting ready to say that. Wouldn't be shocked. So for those that are intrigued by putting some cash on this, be on the lookout for a 6.5 or 7.5 in that regard. I'm taking the Wolverines just because I think it could be a 1-score game. I think it could be like a 17-14 Texas type win. I think Texas wins the game. I'm having PTSD from the Rose Bowl from 2005. Vince Young just running all over the Wolverines before he ran all over USC the next year. But I still think Texas wins the game. But I'm taking Michigan and the points at home in a big non-conference game.
I can see that. I mean, it's 2 top 10 teams. It's not a bad pick, I don't think.
And Michigan's offense, very vanilla last week, but maybe that was by design. At least that's the optimist in me. We'll see. Moving right along. Speaking of offenses, these will be a little more rapid fire. Iowa State is on the road at number 21, Iowa. Mo, does Iowa cover -3 in a 2:30 game that can be seen on CBS? Because the Hawkeyes supposedly are back offensively.
Well, see, here's the thing. I think back When were they here? I think Iowa can cover
A
3.
couple decades ago, maybe.
Yeah. I think Iowa can cover 3. I'm not sure I trust them to cover 7. I'm going to take the Hawkeyes.
Hawkeyes for me as well. Iowa State appears to be a chic pick to maybe win that game outright. I don't know if Iowa's offense is back. I'm with you there. But yeah, the number's so low. I think they could cover the 3. So give me the Hawkeyes as well.
I mean, I could see this being a 13-10 kind of thing or something like that, just because it is Iowa.
Yep. 14-10 even. I mean, Iowa could score a number of different ways, maybe even scored on the defensive side of the ball. So again, 2:30, that one. Another 2:30 game. Baylor is at number 11, Utah, and the Utes are favored by 14.5.
Cam Rising, I guess. Give me the Utes at home and the points. I think they cover that.
I'm not in the business of picking against Utah very often, in whether it's straight up or against the spread. Give me Rising and give me, even though it is 14.5, Utah is a sneaky good team year in and year out. I think they'll cover that number in that 2:30 kickoff there. Speaking of 2:30 kickoffs, South Carolina is on the road at Kentucky. SEC matchup for these two squads. Kentucky is a 9-point favorite in a game on ABC.
I'm going to take Kentucky here just because they're at home. And South Carolina struggled a little bit more with Old Dominion last week than I would have liked. So I'm going to take the home Wildcats here.
Taking the Cats as well. I wanted to pick South Carolina. Don't trust them just enough yet. Don't know a lot about Kentucky. They got Barry and Brown, but how about that? That's all you need sometimes, right?
Sometimes that is all you need.
Let's see what he can do. I like his chances to maybe get us to that number there. So we'll take Kentucky. MTSU, biggest spread on our list here. MTSU is at Ole Miss. Mo, do they cover the 43-point spread down in the Grove this weekend?
I do math a lot of times, and 49-7 for MTSU as a cover. Middle's got 3 offensive linemen out, but I think they cover this. As much as anything, I think Lane Kiffin may get up off the gas late. I think Middle covers here. And maybe I'm being a homer, but that's okay.
I wish I knew the nature of the relationship between Derek Mason and Lane Kiffin, because I feel like that's the only thing that's going to prevent Ole Miss potentially from not covering this number. I feel like if Lane wanted to run it up, if there was some beef randomly, I feel like he would. So having not known that, I'm going to go with MTSU. Ole Miss may come out and win this game 50-3, and will look kind of silly, but give me the MTSU on the road. 3:15 game can be seen on the SEC network. Moving into the night game, final 2 games of the slate here. Colorado at Nebraska, 6:30 kickoff on NBC. Nebraska is favored by 6.5.
Deion really needs to win this ball game. I don't think they're going to win this ball game, but I think it's going to be close. I'm going to take the Buffaloes to cover.
I'm taking Nebraska. Don't really know a lot about Nebraska that I like, but man, I just got to see Colorado do it on the road versus a good team first. I'm taking Nebraska. Minus 6.5 there. Final game, number 14, Tennessee, favored by 9 on the road, in Charlotte versus NC State at 6:30.
Favored by 9 by Caesars, favored by 39 by Dave Hooker. I think it's going to fall somewhere in between, but I think Tennessee covers.
I'm with you. I learned a lot about Tennessee last week without even watching the game. When you go out and you cover a big number versus a nondescript opponent, that tells me you've got a pretty good team and you're really, really focused. I think Tennessee puts up an impressive win this weekend.
Absolutely. Real quick before we get out of here, breaking news at Robertson County Connection by our friend David Wilson. East Robertson senior Isaiah Groves, the Georgia Tech commit, is out for the year with a torn ACL in his left knee. Tough news. We'll leave you with that. Go see some high school football somewhere and check MainStreetPreps.com for all of our coverage. We'll see y'all at 2 o'clock Monday.